Peace and love, everyone. It's your girl Karina, and I'm coming to you with an impromptu live to discuss a specific candidate of the Democratic candidacy, which is Tulsi Gabbard. And I did ask if anyone was interested in hearing some natal charts of candidates. I did get some interest in Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders, which I'll be doing very shortly, but I really wanted to look at Tulsi Gabbard because personally she's sparked my interest. Now, the first night, she has a lot of energy. The first debate, which was a few weeks ago, but I didn't really take a liking or interest in her, but she did stand out to me, but not in such a great way. I almost felt like she was showing off a very pure side of her, like very just a pure message, but not really aggressive. But the second debate that just happened a few days ago, she really came out of the woodwork and shined greatly with showing the information, exposing the information on Kamala Harris. And then not only, she was always somebody who was interesting to me, but this really made her stand out. And now she is on the rise, almost like an underdog, like a dark horse. She has a lot of mystery to her. So I thought, let's go ahead and look at her natal chart. And this is just a mini reading, right? Not too intense, but I wanted to see what is it about her that could possibly be a great candidate for presidency. And maybe what are the things that stand out in her strengths and the things that she might have difficulty with. So let's take a look. If you haven't heard about Tulsi Gabbard, definitely take a look at some clips from the recent debate where she exposes Kamala Harris, and let me know what you think, okay? So Tulsi, this is not a natal chart with the time. So this is a solar chart, okay, which we do not have the rising sign. So we don't have the house system. But we can look at the solar chart and still get a lot of information. So Tulsi Gabbard is actually known to be somebody who has a reputation of being in the military, and I think that shows really strongly with all of the planets that she has in Aries. Okay, so she has the sun in Aries. She has Mars conjunct the sun in Aries. She's got Mercury in Aries, and she's got Venus in Aries. So she's got an Aries stellium. And this shows a lot of her ability to attack and a lot of bravery that she shows in exposing Kamala Harris. Because like I said, the first debate that they had a few weeks ago, she was just coming off like an angel. And she wasn't really getting into any exchanges with other candidates. So what is it about that? It must be in her rising that we don't have. But there is a lot of energy in Libra as well for her when she was born. So she has Saturn in Libra. She has Jupiter in Libra. So there's something about her that is also very peaceful, even though she also can have a strong ability to attack. And Saturn brings about a good energy when it's in Libra, right? Saturn could be a very fearful planet. It brings a lot of lessons and anxiety to people, right? Especially when we deal with Saturn return. But Saturn is highly effective in Libra. It brings about a need to have a long-term stance when it comes to commitments. So there's a strong loyalty with Saturn and Libra. Now there are lessons in love, so maybe there could be some issues that she's had in her love life that she has had to overcome. But overall, she has a strong ability to stand out in her own diplomacy, right? And she's a lot about fairness and justice with Saturn here. And she herself has had a lot of lessons in her life about fairness and equality and justice. Jupiter also enhances this. Now, the people born in 1981 have this Jupiter and Saturn conjunction. And this is very rare to have. And we're going to be having it next year again. And it brings out an energy about these people that they're just a little bit more advanced in their gifts and abilities. Not to say that if you're born without this that you don't have it, but they have a strong calling towards their karma in order to advance their gifts. So where we find Jupiter in our natal charts, we can evidently have these gifts and fortune, but sometimes because it comes so easy to us, it can almost be something that we take for granted. Okay, but when you have Saturn next to your Jupiter, you can't take your gifts for granted. You must fulfill that calling, right? You have a deep karmic obligation to do so. And so that's why we find people with birthdays that have the Saturn and Jupiter connection very strong. And I actually have a video on my YouTube called Messiah Seeds. And I feel that this is one of the significators, are the conjunctions of Jupiter and Saturn. Now, on my channel, I also mention that Lilith, I talk a lot about Lilith on my channel, right? So her Lilith is in Libra as well. And so she has a deep need to be connected to somebody else, right? And Lilith is where we have our sense of being like kind of cast away. And so there are some things about Tulsi that we may not be seeing in her darker mysteries, because she has a very mysterious side to her. I don't know if people pick that up, but I do. And she like has this this like halo of wanting to be really angelic and like a leader, a courageous leader for the people, right? That would be her moon energy next to her north node. She's very ambitious to be seen. She wants to have the spotlight on her, and she commands a lot of attention, but not with her personality, just with her aura. That's that moon energy. But Lilith is actually in a strong placement as well, and Lilith brings out like hidden, almost like a feeling cast away, and feeling, and especially in love and in partnerships. So there may be something here where Tulsi Gabbard, this person's natal chart, where she's had partnerships that have put a lot of pressure on her, but also maybe they weren't loyal in the long run, right? And she may have had a lot of difficulties in love and overcoming love, maybe in her marriages or just in her love life, right? So a lot of her attention goes towards finding her power in diplomacy. That's that Lilith energy, like, because Lilith has 3 levels to it, and the most chaotic is destroying love and partnerships, right? The next level is being a victim. So she may have been a victim of maybe somebody cheating on her or somebody wanting to defame her. Libra is a sign of open enemies too. So she has a strong ability to create open enemies. Okay, and then her Lilith is conjunct her Pluto. That's very strong. So if she deals in her deep need for power in relationships, there could be some real chaotic energy in her need for justice, right? And her need to expose somebody to show the 2 sides, right? To show her side and their side, right? To allow people to compare her to other people. That's a big Lilith in Libra energy, right? Because Libra is weighing everything out, and Lilith is making you see, right, even if it creates chaos, what the other person is playing, like what the hand the other person is playing with, right? And if you come across somebody with Lilith and Libra, that might be what it is. They're showing you like they want justice between them and somebody else, and they're going to show you the other person's hand if they have to, so that you could see the proper sides of both and be able to weigh both fairly. So there's a sense of injustice that she feels very deep within her, and this is actually where we get a lot of oppositions. So her Venus is opposing her Lilith. So there's a lot of feminine energy here that has opposition to it, right? And she may strike a not so great chord with certain females in the justice system, right? Because Libra is a sign of justice, okay? And Pluto and Lilith are conjunct in Libra when she was born. Now, her Venus, her personality, is opposing all of that power in the justice system, right? So she has a value system of of dealing with this opposition in justice and showcasing the injustices. And Venus is not happy in Aries because Aries wants to go at war and Venus wants to do it peacefully. So there's like this issue with confrontation that can sometimes occur with Venus and Aries, but what makes her be able to handle it in such a great way, like in a refined way. Great is subjective, so I won't say great, but in a refined way is the fact that she has got Venus with the Sun and with Mars and with Mercury, right? But the strong players here is Mars next to the Sun, next to Venus, right? So Venus calms down the physical attack, and it's not as abusively combative. Venus brings an air of peace and elegance to the attack, okay? And so this is something that she really handles very well. Her Mercury being in Aries makes her very strong in her ability to share her ideas very quickly and to attack very quickly. So Mercury is a quick planet, and in Aries, it's very fast too, right? Because Aries is very impatient. So there's something about her that's restless about wanting to share her communication, and she is able to do that. The question is does she have the sustainability to do it? And I think that she does. She has this opposition of Mercury and Saturn. Saturn slows down her delivery. So Mercury is itching and really wanting to get the combativeness out, but the opposition from Saturn makes Mercury have to do it in a way that is slow and steady, because Saturn weighs everything down. Saturn makes you think about your next step before you make the step, even though Mercury in Aries wants to just speak out quickly. But her Saturn opposition, if she has handled this properly, she might even have a partner that is really authoritative about her speeches and how to communicate herself, and this partner might give her a lot of anxiety, but they are there to control her and to tame down her ability to speak out quickly and provocatively, right? So she has strong energy in the opposite signs of Aries and Libra, okay? So the biggest thing that I see here is that if we look towards 2020 in November, which is the time in which we are going to vote for president, right? Venus will be in Libra at this time. So Venus is going to be going over her Saturn and her Jupiter conjunction. So this gives out an idea of the ability to be loved and valued, right, at this time. But if Saturn and Jupiter are effective, then this will be a strong diplomatic placement for her, and she could do very well in the candidacy if she makes it to be one of the candidates, right, and then goes against Trump in 2020. But she will have to learn how to speak her ideas in an effective way continuously. But she has a lot of the ability to be combative in a way that shows her assertiveness, but is refined, and that could be very appealing. See, Libra is one of the signs of fame because of the relationship, the need to please the audience, and the need to be aesthetically pleasing to the audience. And through her ability to be combative, that could be very pleasing to voters who are interested in her. So it's not really a prediction, but I'm just showing you how the planets could show us what her capabilities are if she's in this position, right? I think that she has what it takes with these placements. I think that her Lilith will be strongly about, will she take personal responsibility if she is attacked for being shown or being exposed for anything that happens, right? So there might be certain things that are exposed about her, and how will she handle that? Because Lilith in its highest form is about standing up for the injustices for all, but also taking your own personal responsibility, because nobody is free from mistakes, and there will be mistakes that she has that could be exposed. See, she's very sensitive. Leo is a sign of strong courage, and inside of her emotional motivations, she's pulling out her own courage. That's that moon in Leo. But the key here is, the thing with Leo is that Leo is also very sensitive and prideful, and the pride can be a weakness because it can't always handle the exposing. So while she is courageous in exposing others, if she is attacked herself, especially about her reputation, then it could cripple her pride, and that could be a very strong weakness. So, but she's also got the North Node next to her moon, and there is a strong ambition to go after what she wants when it comes to finding her own fame. And so there could be a strong need for her to push herself out and to continuously find her stage and find her spotlight. And she could contend very well in this aspect. So, in 2020, we'll have Jupiter and Saturn in Capricorn. And so she's born with this conjunction, but it will be squared to her conjunction. So Jupiter and Saturn were conjunct when she was born in Libra. And what is going to happen is that Jupiter and Saturn will be conjunct in Capricorn. And so this will be affecting the world, right? For her, this happens in square to her Libra conjunction. And so this is a lot of powerful energy going against each other, right? A square is where we deal with a really difficult corner to turn, right? And it can bring a lot of pressure, especially because it's coming from Capricorn, right? So that's a Saturn square. And this could also be, actually the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction is actually going to be actually stronger towards her Lilith and Pluto as well, because it will be in the 20s, right? So we're dealing with a lot of pressure on her to deal with her own darkness and her own secrets and her own inner chaotic world. And she will be under pressure to, how will she come off basically to the world, right? It will have a lot to do with her reputation. And there might be things that are exposed about her love life. There might be things that are coming out about her own power, her own need and desire for power. And if she can handle it in a strong way, then she will be okay. You see, that conjunction also that is happening in Capricorn will also happen towards her Sun and Venus and Mars. So this conjunction is it is not going to be easy for her if she does come out on top next year, okay? And she will be continuously, as she rises, seen as an underdog, and she also will have the ability to fight her way into the game. She's not going to go down without a fight with all of that Aries energy. She will have to deal with the calling of her own ability to communicate herself in an effective way. In 2020, when the vote happens for presidency, we will have Mercury in Libra, and it will be coming out of retrograde. So there could be a lot of false accusations and things that may have to be overcome at this time as well. And then there might be some clarity that comes into play here. So it will be an interesting game, and I think that Tulsi Gabbard plays a very interesting game. I'm just looking at her chart for the first time, so I don't have a lot, that I that I have to share for. I'm just looking at it from a bird's eye point of view. But I really think that she has the ability to fight, and I think that she has the ability to be effective in a very strong way. The people who were born in 1981 also have Uranus at 29 degrees Sagittarius, and this is where we find the galactic center of the entire galaxy. And so there's like a genius in their ability to communicate across cultures, right? And to stand for their own culture, but also be one that creates culture and creates a connection amongst different cultures. And we could also see this with her, right? So if she's able to really zero in on her trine of Aries to Sagittarius, right? Of her planets in Aries to her planets in Sag, she could really create a following that really brings her all the way to the top, right? And they would see her as a warrior, and she is already physically a warrior. She was in the military, but they could also see it as like an image, like as something that we could all uphold in like this ethereal way, like a warrior for bringing the non-traditional cultures into like non-tradition and traditional, combining them, bringing in objective point of view to the world, that we're all like here to be human and to live in a way that serves us as humanity. So she may be really great at her nationalism, and how will she combine her own nationalism to also her connection to the rest of the world, and how she's seen in other countries. And that also will be at play as well. Now that's at play for all of the candidates, right? How will the other countries, fare well with them, right? And for Tulsi, it looks like she would do very well in the eye of being a united form, because she's got the trine of Aries, her sun, the way that she shines, to Sagittarius, but it will be very unconventional in how she ties the world together. Okay, so that's my take on Tulsi Gabbard. I'm really following her campaign closely now that she has sparked my eye after the second debate, and I think she has for a lot of other people. So if you're an astrology lover who is also following this campaign, let me know what you think about the other candidates in the comments, and I might go ahead